Once again, welcome to the Unash and Dukes podcast, everybody. Glad to have you aboard here on another beautiful day here in Eastern Iowa. If you were hoping for a white Christmas, your hopes may be dashed. Not Dasher or Dancer or Prancer or Vixen or Comet or Cupid or Donner and Blitzen or Rudolph. But yeah, we're seeing a little more grass out there. I don't know if that's good for hunting or not. We're going to find out. But we welcome you aboard to the Unash and Dukes podcast. As always, presented by Emel's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Lindale Mall and next to the Home Depot. Open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. Terrific menu, great sandwiches, great burgers, pasta dishes, pizza, you name it, chicken. They've got it there, plus a complete, fully stocked bar. They do catering. And again, they're right across from the Lindale Mall, next to the Home Depot on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. We'll tell you more about some of our other great sponsors coming up in just a little bit. Hello, Mark Dukes. How are you?
Hello, Scott. I'm Mark. Doing
What's
great.
up, boys?
Mark, first of all, before we get into wrestling, we've had two great additions. Not that each one is not great in its own right, but Mike Halas and Dan McCarney. We thank them on our last two podcasts that we put out there. I've heard a lot of good things from people that have reached out to me anyway. Said that was a lot of fun, and we're gonna try to do more of that. So I'm glad everybody enjoyed it out there. We have a brand new way for everybody to follow us too on YouTube. Um, my IT advisor and I got together over the weekend and put a brand new page together. So it's much easier to navigate if you want to go out to the YouTube and see what we have to offer.
Yeah, we really appreciated Halas and Dan McCarney joining us. We hope to have more of those, single subject type interviews. Maybe Kerry Cola at some point. I don't know.
Oh
We'll
wow!
let Mark chime in on that one. But what Scott is referring to is we kind of tweaked our YouTube accessibility, and Unash and Duke's podcast has its own page right now. It was under the CRM Live Sports banner, but you can still access the archives at CRM Live Sports, um, a great website where Scott does his play-by-play. But man, you just click on YouTube, search Unash and Duke's podcast, and click the playlist. You can get any of the episodes with Halas, McCarney, Ironside, whoever.
Yeah, and all of those are archived on the Unash and Dukes podcast page too. Just go to playlists, and that will take you there. So, yeah, we're populating it, and another way we're helping out. And as always, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so through that. You can do it through our Facebook page, Mark. We've got a lot of ways for people to get in touch with us.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our emails are on there. If you can't reach us, you're not trying.
Very, very true. With that in mind, we get ready to talk college wrestling, Hawkeye wrestling. Mark Ironside joining us here from looks like the basement today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying some nice weather. We don't even need jackets anymore. We're already into that kind of realm and throwing the jackets away and out the door. And then I saw today Christmas is supposed to be 50.
Wow. Well,
50
there goes any chance of the white Christmas.
Yeah, there is not going to be no white Christmas this year. Can you imagine too? After all that snow we got, said, "Well, there's not going to be any for Christmas." You'd be like, "What?" But we need some to melt because we got piles everywhere, and a lot of those need to start melting off before we can get any more.
Yeah, very true.
Well, when Iowa needed was a couple victories and got them as expected in Hannibal, Missouri, Mark. And I have to imagine from a guy like you that led Iowa wrestling in pins 3 straight years,
2 pins.
3 years, yeah.
2 pins and a bunch of bonus point wins.
Yep, that's huge. Caliendo, he was a pinning machine. So he was really utilizing that front headlock short offense position. And the thing about it was he was looking for them. And that's what you got to do. You got to, so much of pinning is like in your head. It's like you have to be thinking about pinning someone just like you're thinking about hitting a single leg or a double leg and getting a takedown. You know, it's you have to, your mind has to be focused on pinning. And sometimes I just don't think we even like ever like think about it or look for it. And we're put a lot of effort into it, that's for sure. I mean, this day and age with 3-point takedowns, everybody wants to just get takedowns. And then with the 4-point near falls, they're more so just going for tilts. You see a lot of tilts, but not very many actual pinning combinations. So, but it was good to see us get some pins and also put a lot of points on the scoreboard up and down the lineup. We still struggled at 41. I'm not sure what the magic potion is there to start really lighting up the scoreboard there when we can, but for the most part, we wrestled pretty well. I mean, the only two matches we lost were 33, I believe, and 97, and we didn't have either of our starters in the lineup there. And Dean didn't wrestle, and Drake Ayala didn't wrestle, and I don't think that both of them were on the trip. They just didn't wrestle. I just don't think that. I think Tom just wanted to give us extra time off the mat. You got Christmas coming up, and you got some time off, and then just let them heal up a little bit, I guess.
And you know, didn't need the heavyweight, obviously, with Keeter. Um, so the matches were
No, not
decided.
97. My bad. 97. I said 97. I forgot. What's his name? Gabe bumped up to 97.
Yes, I was going to
It
ask
was
you about
heavyweight that
Gabe,
we lost those matches. Heavyweight. You're right.
but how about Gabe bumping up like that? Gets a little flexibility to the lineup. So you know, give some people some stuff to talk about and something to think about for opponents, right?
Well, it's good for Gabe because if he wants a chance to get some matches in and be a team player, and he went up and wrestled 97. And I seen him in the room. I was in there Monday for practice, and I went in there and I said, "Hey, nice job this last week in wrestling those guys that are like 2 weight classes bigger than you." And he goes, "Well, I'm used to wrestling that big old beast right over there all the time, so it's no different." And he was pointing to Stephen Buchanan, and he makes a good point. If he's wrestling Buchanan every day, well, then those guys aren't going to be any different. I mean, Buchanan's huge compared to him, so that's why you usually go up. You go in the room. You usually wrestle people about 2 weight classes bigger than you. Typically, people don't go much bigger than that, but 2 weight classes is about your max, and it does somebody good, and it did for Gabe Arnold this last weekend down in Columbia or down in Hannibal. No speed tickets either that I'm aware of.
Mark, you made it known how you feel about the 3-point takedown and 4-point near fall. I should imagine that was done by coaches. But I wonder what you hear and what you feel. Are there more people in your corner, or more people are okay with things?
With the score system,
Yeah.
I don't know. I really, really don't know. I don't know if it really matters, just because it is what it is. At the end of the day, is the average Joe doesn't get to make a decision on it. But I think what their whole reasoning behind adding the near falls and the 3-point takedowns, extra point takedown, was to make wrestling more offensive and more exciting. And I don't think it's worked at all whatsoever. So, but they have started calling stalling a lot more, so that's good, and that's definitely helping. I just don't really understand why you change something that's been the same for years and years and years, um, because we feel like we have to put a band-aid on something that really needs some staples. And but it's to start with the referees, and calling stalling. That's what we're starting to do. I think they really jacked it up by add 3-point takedowns and near falls, because it messed up the whole scoring system and how it had been done for years. And now, like, records. If you really want to keep track of records and team points and team records, you can't now. You're not comparing apples to apples anymore. You're just not. Like, So I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it from the beginning, and it just didn't turn out to better the sport at all, in my opinion.
And I agree because seemingly in every other sport, I'll use in wrestling and basketball are apples and oranges. We know that, but 3-point line came in, and now you see most everybody taking 3-pointers all the time. And I think their thinking was, okay, if we give another point for a takedown, then everyone's going to get aggressive. And I think it's actually worked in the opposite direction. I know you would agree with that. That I don't think we're seeing as much offense. I know we're not seeing as much offense anymore because of the switch to 3 points out there. You're almost defensive now. Your offense comes from your defense a little bit more, I think, than way, way too many times now as compared to like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just where the sport's at right now. Is your defense has just gotten the defense in the sport of wrestling has gotten very, very lazy. Um, not just the defense, but the offense as well too. They've just gotten lazy altogether, and now you're seeing more wrestling on the mat. Like you're just seeing so much rolling around, grabbing through the crotch, grabbing the ankles, and just grabbing and rolling. And that's again why you think we had to put the neutral danger rule in there. Which there's another rule that makes no sense to me. I mean, if you don't even have to physically take someone down and control them. Like in a controlling takedown, to get what's considered a takedown, you just have to get them past 90 for a 2 count. And then that's a 3-point takedown. Well, then a controlled takedown where you're actually physically on top in a controlled situation, well, that should be worth a 4-point takedown then. I mean, it doesn't make sense that you're doing half the work and getting the same amount of points. It just wrestling has evolved to where they feel like they have to start changing the way that the rules are done. And again, I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. It makes no sense to me. It really, really doesn't. And I was watching practice the other day, and I was watching Patrick Kennedy and Max Mirren scrap a little bit, and they're just kind of sparring. They weren't going live, but just kind of sparring and stuff. And just the way that they're kind of rolling around and grabbing ankles and stuff like that or whatever. And then at one point in time in practice, Max got in on Patrick's feet on the edge, and Patrick was just because he was relaxed. He wasn't really wrestling live. Like his brain wasn't like on point, and he didn't get his feet back, and Max got in on his feet. And Tom said something, you got to learn to sprawl, get your legs back and sprawl. Like that's how you defend. And I think it just triggered something in Patrick's mind and kind of his focus and how he just changed how he was wrestling at that particular point in time in practice. And then from there on out, it was all Patrick in that go. And up to then, it was just kind of even and back and forth. But it's just basically the whole point of the story is that you've got to be on point. Your mental aspect of things and how you attack things is so incredibly important. But we get so caught up in just kind of like relaxing too much and rolling around and not having to burn up a bunch of energy and going to so many stalemates. I don't know. I just don't think it's better to sport from an offensive standpoint or an exciting standpoint for that matter. Now, granted, the kids are way good, like way, way good technically and fundamentally coming in. But they just probably just don't use it quite enough. So I don't know.
I know you're not at every practice, Mark, but I'm curious how much Tom and Terry are, engaged maybe on the mat. How much was Gable on the mat when you were wrestling, and how much are coaches, really getting in there and demonstrating and whatnot
All the time. Yeah,
all the time?
all the time. I'm not there at all, really. I was there the other day for the first time in a long time, and actually, as soon as I get off this podcast, I'm going down today too. But actually, I got to get down there. But I do know that Tom and Terry, they're very, very involved in the mat pretty much every single day. I mean, it's either Tom or Terry. One of them's on the mat and running the practice and getting down to the nitty gritty and showing the techniques and the drills and so forth or whatever. So, and just like Gable, that's what Gable did. Gable was on the mat every single day, very, very involved. So,
Yeah. Schedule wise coming up, a little bit of there is a break right now, obviously for the holidays, and then
it's
Soldier
finals
Salute.
week right now too, so they
Yeah.
can only do so much during finals week. Like right now, they can't technically really have practices. It's just kind of on your own, open room around your finals and your testing and so forth.
Yeah. Soldier Salute's coming up in a couple of weeks. So always a big event that Josh and everybody helped put together. We'll get more on Josh coming up in a little bit, but Soldier Salute, that will be a couple weekends from now. So that's the next thing on the schedule anyway.
Yeah, the Extreme Arena is going to get put to use for the Soldier Salute. A lot of good teams again coming back, and then also Missouri's bringing their full team, which we've seen at the national duels this year. UNI, Doug Schwab, I believe, is bringing a lot more. Iowa State might be bringing in a few more guys. I think Minnesota's bringing a few more guys. So it should be a really good Soldier Salute this year. There's no women in the Soldier Salute, men only. And then I believe, as far as I know, the Iowa's bringing their full lineup. So, and the rumor has it maybe that Gabe Arnold might be making an appearance at 174. So that might be kind of interesting to see how him and Patrick Kennedy shake out, along with a couple other weights to see what happens. So that's kind of what they use the Soldier Salute for sometimes too. It's an awesome tournament and a great tournament to have for the Iowa wrestling program, having it right in your backyard, not having to travel anything like that, and get some really good competition in after Christmas, and then you get a little bit of a break before that Big Ten schedule starts, a good training phase. So it just comes at a really good, perfect time for that. And then I also heard last weekend too, when I was down in Missouri, that they changed the date of the national duels for next year, which it was in November, middle of November this year, which was a fantastic event, but they did change it to last weekend. So when we were down there last Friday for the in Hannibal for that Missouri, it's going to be whatever it is. What is that? The second weekend in December.
Yep.
So it'll be the second weekend of December next year.
And you like that?
I do. I think it'll be better than being in the middle of November. A few weeks later, teams have got some matches under their belts. I think you're going to be able to get a few more good teams in there. So yeah, I like it. I think it'll be good. I think it's a good time for that. It might get a little bit tricky with finals coming up and be kind of difficult for a couple of guys here or there on different squads. But you just have to kind of work around that a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm excited for that. I think it's gonna be a great opportunity to even grow the tournament and make it better and better than what it already is.
Did they listen to coaches then? I mean, I'm
I think
sure there was
so.
input.
Yeah, I absolutely, and that's something that shows you how mature that organization is, and David Taylor and the National Coaches Association, and getting together and listening to the coaches and doing what's best for the sport and growing the sport. So kudos to them. And then we got the Extreme Arena coming up tomorrow night. Should probably talk about that. The Ukrainian World Freestyle Team, the national freestyle team for Ukraine, has been here for 2 weeks training. It's kind of neat for the Ukrainian women because, I mean, as you know, I mean, Ukraine and Russia has been at war for quite a while now, and it's still going on, even though the press doesn't talk about it as much. But they have to deal with that on a regular basis. They look for other places they can come in and train, and some of the places they would normally train there are no longer there. And so it's kind of a unique situation. It's kind of cool for them. I've been around them at a couple of the camp practices, and they're just so appreciative of the opportunity to come here and kind of get away for a little bit, and the support they've got from around the world. But they're taking on a USA women's freestyle team put together by Coach Terry Steiner tomorrow night at Extreme Arena at 7 o'clock. I don't think the women's team's going to be a super solid stud-filled team. They're having a difficult time getting some girls in for this dual meet during this time of year, right before Christmas. And that Ukrainian team is good, like really, really good. It's gonna be pretty tough for the U.S. the girls that they're bringing in to actually win the dual meet. But there's going to be some fantastic matches tomorrow night. So Extreme Arena, and I think that 5 o'clock, if I remember right, is City High girls versus Washington girls, and then at 6 o'clock is the Iowa City West girls versus the City High girls, and then at 7 o'clock is the Ukrainian USA duel. And all you got to do is bring in a non-perishable food item, and that for food pantry, and that is your entry fee into the event. So pretty cool opportunity, and if anybody can make it and have an opportunity to come out, and I think it'd be a fantastic opportunity to see some really good top level, top tier women's freestyle wrestling.
Mark, not everybody's off on the men's side. They're going to have the journeyman duels in Nashville this weekend, and Ohio State and Iowa State matched up on Sunday. Penn State is there, but they're really not going to wrestle anybody. But that Ohio State Iowa State match is really interesting. I don't know if Iowa State has the depth from 1 to 10 to hang with Ohio State, but you got, at heavyweight, Feldman and Bastida, 33, Davino and Frost, and some super matches, top 2, 3, 4 ranked wrestlers. But what's your feeling on that match?
Well, obviously we've seen them both this year. I think Ohio State is definitely the favorite. I think Iowa State could um, do some damage. I think they can make some noise. This is a great opportunity for Iowa State. It's going to be a really good measuring stick of where they're at. Ohio State literally just ran through the national duels, and they're the number one or number two ranked team right now, and deservingly so. So, and I think Iowa State, depending on what poll you're looking at, 3-4, they can move up a notch. So this is a great opportunity for Iowa State and a good measuring stick for them. And I look for it to be a fun and exciting duel for sure. I look for Ohio State to win it. But I'll be curious to see how Ohio or Iowa State kind of matches up and holds up against Ohio State.
I think
Penn,
Feldman and Bastida.
Oh, Bastida for sure. Bastida is just so much more athletic, like very athletic compared to Feldman. So,
I would
yeah.
agree. I would agree. And 33 is going to be good too. And yeah, Penn State, I mean, we know how good Penn State is. We know, but they haven't been really super tested yet.
No,
Uh,
and that's by
and
design. Cale Sanderson does a good job, and he doesn't really put his guys in those positions until kind of after the first year, and a grueling Big Ten season is coming up, and he does a good job with his planning and his scheduling.
and they, like you said, they'll be there, but they're not wrestling Ohio State or Iowa State, so um, they'll win. They're duels. Hunting better with a little snow on the ground.
Yeah, well, it makes it better for sure with snow on the ground for a couple reasons. One, you can see so much better. You can spot the deer obviously a lot easier and better, or whatever you're hunting. And then two, if you've got a good food plot like some standing beans or corn or something like that, well then obviously the deer are gonna they don't have no grass to eat, so they're gonna because it's buried under the snow. And then that time of year too, your turnips and radish and turnips are usually buried. Your alfalfa, clover fields are usually buried. So you've got to have the right food source. If you have that right food source and it's cold, this is a great time of year to do it. But that snow is going to be gone and warm, and the deer are going to be loving life here. They are right now. So second season shotgun closes this Sunday.
Yeah.
And once that closes, then I can finally get my bow and arrow back out and start hoping to find something that I can actually maybe want to shoot.
Mark,
Regardless, I need to get some meat in the freezer for sure.
last wrestling question from me, Mark. I had a friend of mine who's got a young wrestler talking and asking. I said, I'll ask Mark Ironside, how do you deal with slumps or kids that this is more geared toward kids? Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to cut weight? The mentality of the sport. I'm not very good right now. Um, how do you deal with a youngster like that? And more talking, more wrestling. How would you address that?
Well, it's funny you ask. My cousin actually, who lives in Chicago, was just texting me last Sunday, and their son, I think is only in the second grade, maybe, just entered his first real wrestling tournament and didn't fare well. And at that age, you got to kind of read the individual. Definitely not too much competition. And the reason I say that is because if a kid's very, very successful, like matured really early, caught on really, really quick to a lot of things, and does really well, honestly, that kind of sets them up for failure a little bit later. Because once these other kids start maturing and start catching on and start getting a lot better, and that gap starts closing a little bit, well, if that kid that was doing really, really well didn't even have to work that hard and he was just that good, and all of a sudden he's going to have to start working hard to get there, you might not like it. It might be, yeah, you know what? Now that I got to work hard, I don't want to do it. Or if you go out and you just absolutely get raked over the coals every single time you step on the mat because you're just not mature compared to some of the other kids your age yet. You just haven't developed very much yet. You're not catching on to the moves. You don't have the right coaching or whatever it may be, and you're getting killed every time you can step out there. Well, obviously, that's going to deter kids from wrestling too. So it's a coach's and a parent's kind of obligation to kind of read the athlete and read the wrestler to see what that athlete should be doing. And the one thing that I try to stress is just try to stay away from a whole bunch of competition, kindergarten through fifth, sixth grade, because honestly, at that age, you're just developing. It's just development and learning and having fun. I cannot stress enough how important all those three things are. Having fun, learning, and developing. No weight cutting, like zero. Like, do not worry about cutting any weight at that age. And you just kind of have to read your wrestler and let him play other sports and stuff like that too. Definitely at that age, and no weight cutting. So just kind of, and then the other thing is there's developmental tournaments too. Like Jefferson just had one. Rob Martin just had one up at Jefferson a couple weeks ago, where there's really, like, even if someone gets pinned, they continue to keep wrestling. And I know, like, I'm not a big fan of everybody gets blue ribbon type of thing either, but at that age, you're talking kindergarten, first, second, third grade. I think that's really important. It's not just about the winning and losing only at that age. It's just learning and developing and going out and having fun and trying to grow the sport and keep kids involved. And I think sometimes, probably more so the parents than actually the kids, get too wrapped up in little Johnny or little Susie now needing to win at all expenses, and then go and brag on social media that their kid just pinned 3 people at the freaking little podunk tournament this weekend and who knows where. Next thing you know, they think they're freaking wrestling in the Olympics against Jordan Burroughs. I mean, they're going to be the next Jordan Burroughs. And it's just like, oh my gosh, people, get a grasp on it. But that's just again, social media just kind of kills that aspect of the world that we live in, and it just becomes a bragging board, and it's sad it's really, really sad to see. And then that puts a lot of pressure on the kids too. The more they talk about it, the more they go, and then the dads get. I mean, it's just a whole vicious cycle. But it's the coaches and the parents is kind of their obligation, I think, is to kind of read your kids and be level-headed and get what's best for them. And if they're getting killed, probably step it back and just really focus on learning and developing.
Sage advice, Mark. Very good.
Well, we've always seen the 10-year-old who's got a great fastball and flames out in high school, and vice versa.
Yeah. Perfect example. And it's not just wrestling, like you said. It's honestly pretty much any sport there is. And I was living proof to that too. And wrestling's changed a lot more since when I first started, but I never even knew what wrestling was until I was in 5th grade. I never even heard of it. And then my brother Matt started wrestling in 7th grade, when it was offered at Wilson Middle School. So he'd come home and practice moves on me, and that's all I knew. And I didn't really start wrestling at all until 6th grade, and I went out and got my butt kicked bad. I didn't know nothing. But just kind of stuck with it. And then I started closing the gap on those kids that I was getting killed by and getting closer and closer, and just kind of never really looked back. But it was all new and it was fresh to me and it was exciting. And I don't know, I think we just, in our youth sports, it's just out of control how much emphasis we put on the winning and losing at a very, very young age. And it's so incredibly competitive. I mean, these parents and coaches think that they're competing for a scholarship when the kid's in 3rd, 4th grade. And it's just so far from the truth.
Good stuff. All right. Well, let's get to Iowa City and have a great Christmas.
All right, you guys as well too.
I'm going to talk to you down the line here. We'll
Well,
let
let
you
me
know.
know. Yeah, let me know when. Let me know when. Next Wednesday is actually Christmas Day,
Yeah,
right?
we won't have one on next Wednesday.
Yeah. So maybe the following Wednesday then.
We'll see. We'll let you
Well,
know.
you just let me know.
We
All
will
right,
let
boys,
you
I
know.
got to roll. Thanks a lot. Have a great Christmas. Always good to see you.
All
Okay,
right.
Mark.
Merry Christmas. Mark Ironside joining us here. And Mark's parents, by the way, brought to you by Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. And Kurt is located on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. He's committed to inspiring and protecting dreams right here in the metro and the surrounding area. And just see him. He's got sage advice for you
He
in the
does.
insurance game. Mark's got sage advice for us right there. Kurt Gustafson has sage advice in the insurance agency. So, again, Kurt with American Family Insurance, Johnson Avenue Southwest, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. Always indebted to Kurt. He's the sponsor of Mark Ironside's appearance with us. We told you about Emel's Hideaway. Big thanks to those folks. Hunt Graphic Innovations, Todd Hunt over there, our website guy. We do appreciate that. Everything he does for us. Ben Ritter Sportswear in Cedar Rapids, downtown, 817 2nd Avenue Southeast. And thanks to Gary and the entire staff over there, and Dr. John Woolner as well at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids. Great sponsors. You can be a sponsor too if you like to. Get in touch with us via the YouTube page, Facebook page, what have you. And you can join all the merriment that is the Unash and Dukes podcast. It's merriment, Mark.
I like it, Scott.
With Dan McCarney and with Michael Oss being on our last two podcasts, we didn't have any opportunity to go back and talk about Iowa State men's basketball. We can touch upon that because it's a week hence almost, but a lot better game than I thought it was going to be. I said right here on this very podcast, if it was close, I would be surprised. I guess I shouldn't be surprised with the way Ben McCollum's troops performed that night. Iowa State, tell you what, they had to bring it that night. The crowd had to bring it at Hilton Coliseum, and they did, to their credit. Iowa State made some good plays at the end. Hawks had a chance. They got a tip away at the end. And much like the football game, the ball went to Iowa State, and they score on it. And that was pretty much the end of things over at Hilton Coliseum. But that was, I think, people on both sides of the aisle had things to be happy about in that game, and you don't see that from Iowa State very often.
No, I was surprised at the competitiveness as well. Perhaps Iowa State had a bit of a letdown after, such a great performance at Purdue. But Iowa, holding Iowa State to 66 points, a season low, that was very good. Just could not get the key basket, the key tip, as you mentioned, and whatnot. I thought the big difference was Joshua Jefferson from Iowa State. He had 24 points and kind of limited Iowa State kind of limited Bennett Sturts. But I think this will be good for Iowa. I mean, the Hawkeyes have only two losses and both to top 10 teams and both on the road. So going forward, both Iowa and Iowa State are kind of into the silly season right now with the Long Beach States and the UMass Lowells and that sort of thing. But it's going to get serious after the first of the year.
Going to get very serious. A 4 o'clock Monday game against UMass Lowell. I mean, what is this? TV's probably got something to do with that. I don't know, but that's going to be a very interesting one for Iowa down the stretch. As Mark said, everybody in finals right now, so there's just not a whole heck of a lot going on. Iowa's 25th in the coaches poll in basketball. Good to have both Iowa and Iowa State together in a basketball poll. Haven't had that in a long time. So that's something very good to look for. UNI still playing very good basketball. Tell you what, I'm not going to make a prediction yet, but Mo Valley, and I say this every year, Mark, this is a good league. Belmont's really good. UNI is really, really good. And Murray State's not real bad. There's three really good teams in the Mo Valley, especially two really good ones. UNI Belmont a couple times this year is going to be a whole lot of fun. Both those teams toward the top of the unofficial mid-major poll, by the way. Did you know there was a mid-major basketball poll, Mark?
I had no idea, Scott.
Yeah, see?
It's still a one bid league, but it doesn't mean it's not a good league. As you mentioned, those three teams in particular, and there's going to be upsets along the way, but it's fun to see that. It's fun to see you and I playing well. I wish Drake was playing better and had a better team, but kind of got decimated with McCollum and everybody's on that is on the Iowa Hawkeye roster now. But it's still early, not even Christmas yet. It's going to get real serious after the first of the year.
It is. Iowa women play at UConn this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more on that on Friday, along with the college football playoff. We'll talk about that. The first round games coming up, but already a lot of talk with Iowa and UConn in Brooklyn over in New York City. But like I said, more on that coming up. Hey, before we go, in college football news, not only the college football playoff, but looks as though we're going to have 10 games. Most everyone, in fact, all the power conferences are going to a 9-game conference schedule with a small asterisk of the ACC. If you want to give yourself an Excedrin headache, go and read all the stipulations about what the ACC in football is going to do. With 17 teams, one team is only going to play 8 conference games. That will change every year based on oh my gosh, I got a headache when I looked at that. But they're going to go to 9. Everyone's going to play 10 because a non-conference game is going to be against a Power 4. Great news, I think, for Iowa State fans out there. I think this is probably the best indication we're going to see the Cy-Hawk football series continue for a while.
Yeah, with the ACC and the SEC and the Big 12 making this move for next year that you have to play 10 Power 4 teams, 9 in your conference plus 1 non-conference, or 8 in the case of some ACC teams, 8 plus 2, whatever. But it kind of levels the playing field in terms of who you play. I mean, you look at a couple schedules this year. Georgia played Marshall, Austin Peay, and Charlotte in addition to the conference games. Now, the SEC's tough enough the way it is. Next year, they won't be able to do that. I mean, Indiana played Old Dominion, which is in a bowl game tonight. I understand. Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. And you look at the opposite of that. Look at Texas's schedule, and Alabama opened with Florida State and whatnot. It's not going to impact Iowa and Iowa State because of the 9-game conference schedule plus Iowa and Iowa State. There's your 10. But it is going to impact some schools.
It will. You're going to see rivalries stay. You mentioned Georgia. They'll still retain Georgia Tech. Clemson, South Carolina are going to continue to play. Love to see Bedlam come back. Don't know if it will with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. It's going to be interesting to see what teams the SEC will schedule now that they are going to a 9-game conference season. I think it's going to be more of your Sun Belt and your Mountain West, the new Pac-12, perhaps.
It's going to have to be more Power 4 teams, though.
Right. True.
It's going to, if you play 9 conference games, you're going to have to play one Power 4 school. which means ACC, SEC, Big 12, or Big 10. You're not going to be able to play Sun Belt,
Well, then
at
you
least
still
for that,
might.
at least for that 10th game.
Right. It's going to be the 11th game.
Yeah.
The Hayden Fry non-conference coaching system still, or scheduling is still working.
That has carried on through Kirk Ferentz, i.e., Albany and UMass.
It was a little off this year with Albany and UMass, but so that's football. Yeah, when we get together again coming up on Friday, a lot of college football playoff talk. Iowa women going to the Big Apple to take on UConn. So we got a lot to look forward to. And again, you can go to YouTube, just type in Unash Dukes podcast. Big page comes up. You can go back and listen to the archives there. If you hit playlist, you can go to crmlivesports.com. So a lot of places to take in each new podcast episode or the archived ones. So we're getting it's growing, Mark. It's like a small bud that's growing.
It's like adding cars to a train, right?
That's right.
We go back, we go back, and pretty soon we can make a cross-country trip.
There you go. There you go. All right. We'll try to go win 30 tonight. Get the second half off to a good start in bowling.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later, Mark.
Got it.
All right. Big thanks to Evil's Hideaway, Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, Hunt Graphic Innovations, Bim Ritter Sportswear, as well as Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology, all our great sponsors on the Unash and Dukes podcast. For Mark, I'm Scott. Thanks for viewing and listening. We'll talk to you next time.